Hey, my name is Jay. I'm a 43-year-old dude who works a 9-to-5 job. I've got a wife, 4 kids. I've been divorced once. I've got 2 dogs, a cat. Pretty regular guy, at least in terms of like American standards, pretty average. But I feel compelled, I don't know why, to start making videos about something that I've been, I'd say, pretty obsessed with for the last 5 years. And that is, humanity is going through, we're on the verge of a big change. I feel that in my bones. I have no doubt that there are numerous things that are going to change in the next couple years, in the short term. And I'll go backwards first. It was November of 2017. I was sitting at my daughter's swim practice, reading the news on my phone, and I came upon the New York Times story about the Pentagon program studying UAP. It was the story that Lou Elizondo's resignation kind of kicked off, and for that, it really floored me. It really blew my mind and crystallized a lot of the feelings I'd been having. So when I was younger, I became an atheist at a very early age. I grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I went to a Catholic high school, but early on in my high school career, I decided I was an atheist. And it was because I saw how man's perspective on God changed and evolved along with our scientific evolution. As science understood more, God occupied a smaller space. So that logic alone made me question the authenticity of God, the idea of God. And I looked at it from a very pragmatic, narrow lens at that point. And so I declared myself an atheist and proceeded that way. I didn't really care about, when I cease to exist, I cease to exist. And that was kind of the end of it for me. Interestingly, though, I had always been fascinated with the idea of aliens. I grew up I was born in the early 80s, but grew up in the 90s, and my formative period was like unsolved mysteries. And I remember some of those alien abduction episodes were captivating for me. And so much so, they scared the hell out of me. And for a period of time, maybe the atheism thing isn't a surprise, because for a period of time, when I prayed at night, I didn't pray to God. I prayed to the aliens that they wouldn't take me. I was so scared of alien abduction, and they were very real to me. I guess I didn't question the authenticity of aliens. As I move forward, in my life, going through, that was probably in grade school, when I went to middle school, high school, etc. I was worried about other things besides aliens, didn't really think about it too much, and the societal stigma of aliens was something that I didn't really think about too much. Now, I had some experiences early in college that stuck with me and that I think were real, but I didn't have anything really specific that I could point to when I sat there in 2017 and read that article, and again, something in me just clicked. So I went down the rabbit hole. I absolutely went headfirst into studying as much as I could about the idea of, well, first it was really nuts and bolts. UFO, UAP, how could that be? What happened in Roswell? What have we learned over time? What were the allegations in terms of what the government knew, what the government didn't know? And I think this is a very common path. I started out at a very nuts and bolts perspective, and from there started going deeper into what the entities could be, what people's experiences were with aliens, and got more into the paranormal, metaphysical side of things. My aperture expanded in terms of what I considered the subject to include. And ultimately, oddly enough, brought me to a very spiritual place where my perspective was more along the lines of not really interested in the nuts and bolts component of it, but more interested in what this means on a spiritual level in terms of how our extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials, non-human intelligence connected to ghosts, source, God. And so that's been my journey in a nutshell. I feel compelled for some reason to post these to let people know, this is a crazy time. In a lot of ways, I think in the West, I will speak for Americans, I think we lead somewhat unfulfilling lives in that we are working 9-to-5 jobs, maybe working multiple 9-to-5 jobs to make things, to keep things going. And those jobs are often not very fulfilling. And we're bombarded with the media and the concepts of you better make more so you can have this, you need the next best thing, you don't have enough time. It's a lot to handle. And so I think there's a natural depression, there's a natural feeling of disconnect that people are experiencing. I know I was very much so. And I think that's compounded by the fact that I think there's something happening here in terms of a shift, if you will. So these are all things that made me feel alone, made me feel alienated. As I studied this subject more, read more, listened to more podcasts, I've learned more about it. It's made me feel not so alone. I haven't really been involved in the community other than, a consumer of the media. So I just wanted to create a place that if someone else is feeling those ways, we can connect, we can communicate, we can discuss. If there's questions or topics, I would love to discuss it all. I mean it where I've been obsessed with this topic, and I've got a lot of different angles that I think I'm just going to create videos and talk about those different components of this phenomenon. But I'm not going to limit it to just that. I'll also discuss, weird stories that are happening or interesting elements of the phenomenon. Again, it's a very broad phenomenon. I'll discuss the what I'm reading, podcasts I'm listening to, shows I'm watching, and again, I'll discuss any number of elements as people are interested. And I hope it does somebody some good, and maybe it'll do me good to discuss it. But I do think that things are changing at a faster rate. People are feeling more and more disenfranchised. We're not getting the answers we want from our government or from just the mainstream media, which is a whole other situation. And I think that there's maybe some good that can be done by discussing in an open forum, and maybe someone will care. So I hope everyone who's watching this is staying safe, you're taking care of yourselves, you're loving those around you, and I wish you only the best. And if you would like to have this discussion, follow along here and let's connect. And I'm excited to see what that brings. And again, I wish everyone the best.